Let me start with one of the first things that happens. When you experience fear, and when we're talking about people who've been through potentially traumatic events, we're really talking about the experience of fear and for some of them, the experience of terror. Your brain and your body undergo a tremendous amount of change immediately. And all of those changes, those physiological changes that occur, are designed for one thing. They're designed to keep you alive. They're designed for you to survive this life threat. So one of the changes that happens that's relevant to our work with refugees here is that it has an impact on people's ability to think rationally. Surprisingly, in some ways, thinking rationally is actually not that helpful in a life or death situation. Most of the time, what you want is to think quickly and instinctively, right? It's not the time to pull out your pros and cons list and evaluate your various options and go through and decide rationally what would be the best course of action. You would never survive if you did that. So one of the changes that happens is basically a dampening of the frontal lobe region of the brain. So the frontal lobe, basically this part of your brain, is the part of your brain that's responsible for executive function or higher order functioning. It's things like impulse control. It's the part of your brain that keeps you from shouting at people when you feel angry with them. The part of your brain that helps you think through sequences. First I need to do this, then I'll do this. It's the part of your brain that helps you analyze, to think rationally. And it's part of the brain that is actually dampened or shut down, essentially, when you experience a high level of fear, terror, or even stress. If you think about yourself when you're stressed, you can see that, right? It's not the time for your most analytical kind of thinking things through. And the same thing happens to people who are in life-threatening situations or potentially traumatic situations. What happens is this dampening down of the frontal lobe that allows them to act quickly and instinctively and ideally survive, but makes their behavior in retrospect look sometimes unusual or look like it doesn't really make sense. This speaks to plausibility, I think, in terms of credibility issues that come up, that it's really easy to look back at someone's behavior when they were in a conflict situation, a potentially traumatic event, and think, why did you do that? That's not rational. No one would have, right? I wouldn't. No one would have. Those kinds of things. But the reality is that that's how we're designed to behave when we're very afraid. We're designed for quick action.